Hey everybody, it's Michael Seiler from GotchaRocks.com, your online jewelry learning website. And I got an email from somebody saying, hey, I really like your videos, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Could you do a video? It's basically the basics. And so go through components and things like that. So that's what we're gonna do. In this video, we're going to open up our findings toolbox, and we're going to take a look at things like earring components, earring pins, different types of clasps, and different types of chains, as well as some little components that you can use to crimp if you're doing beadwork and things like that. Before we get going, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you get notifications when we put out new videos. So without further ado, let's get to it. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm going to have a complete tool list right down below, so check it out. So first out of the findings box, we're going to take a look at earring components. And you should care about earring components. Why? Because they're a fast way to take beads that you already have or set gemstones and put them together and make something that's one, beautiful, and two, saleable. So let's take a look at each one of these individually, and I'll show you how they work. So the first one we're going to look at is the ball post earrings, and you get these at Rio Grande. We'll have the findings tool list down below in the comment area. And so this is a post, like any other post would be. And it has this little ball at the top right there. And you can see that it has a little jump ring attached to it right here. Now you can get these without, so it'd just be, you're kind of limited at that point. You'll just have a ball at the end of the post. But with this little jump ring at the end, you can attach gems and beads and all different types of things and really let your creativity run wild. So that's that one. So that's a little larger size, and then they make them in all different sizes. So this is a little smaller one here. So you can see it still has that little jump ring on there. So these are just great and really easy to just string up, and we'll get to the little wire that actually attaches to that so you can put the bead on. Next up are the kidney shaped earring findings, and the way that these work is that it has a little wire right here. Move these so you can see. Little wire here, and you just kind of go like this and it unhooks, and you can feed your bead that after you have it wired up right onto here, and then you just crimp this little area like so, just like that, and that holds your bead in place. So there's one after it's been crimped, and here's one before. So this is the before, and this is after you crimp it. So you sometimes have to adjust this little part here, but no big deal. But these are great to just be able to string your beads on, and you're done. So let's take a look at the next one. Next up are the earring wires, also known as shepherd hooks. And these are probably my favorite, just because of the versatility. So you can attach your gemstone or bead right here on this little loop. They just kind of open up. They make them in a variety of different styles. So this one is kind of flattened out right here, and then it's got a little wire wrapping here, so that's kind of nice. And then this one has like a little bead at the end. So it just kind of gives it a little decorative look at the end. And each one of these, they just thread onto the ear from here, and it's just a very versatile earring. If you really want to class up your earring design, I really like these. They are Leaverbacks. And they kind of work like this, so like this, and then this little part here opens up, and it's on a little spring. So it opens up like that, and then closes, like so. Also, you have the little loop on it right here, where you can attach your bead or gemstone. So these are kind of nice, and I do like the front view right here. I don't know if you can kind of see that. It kind of has a little flame shape, so I just really like these. I think they take just about any bead or gemstone that you have, and they make it look, I don't know, 5 times as valuable. So those are great too. For those of you that don't have pierced ears, they make a clip-on earring, which is right here, and it just kind of opens up, and this portion right here pinches right onto your ear, hopefully comfortably. And you can also add your little bead right here at the end. So that's kind of nice. And I'll show you the front side. So they kind of hang like this. And your ear would be right here. So these are nice as well. So those are the 5 types of earrings. So let's take a look at some of the earring backs that you can use. For these shepherd hooks, I really like to use the little rubber gaskets here. And I'll show you how they work. They just kind of fit right on here, just like so. And that'll just keep the earring from slipping off the ear. So that's really nice. And you can adjust these up and down. And they seem to just last forever as long as somebody doesn't lose them. And they're not very expensive as well. The other one that you can use, and we have some here, I didn't try these out, but these are the metal ones. So you can kind of do that. So that's your sort of your traditional earring back that you've probably seen before. And they come in a variety of different metals. So you have sterling silver, you have gold, they have gold filled, they have probably brass and things like that. So I would probably recommend sticking with at least the sterling silver or the stainless steel, just so it doesn't irritate the ear. So if you can afford gold, awesome. So that is the earring backs that I would recommend. Well, we've looked at the earring components, so I wanted to show you next are these, they're called eye pins and head pins. And these are used to string your beads onto, and then you can like crimp them over and attach them to one of your earrings. So we have a bead here, and the head pin has this little head right here. It kind of looks like the top of a nail, and that stops the bead from sliding off the end of the wire. So here's how it works. Just slides down like that, and it stops. And then what you can do is take your pliers, and we'll get into the pliers and stuff like that in a second, and just bend it over and then loop it back around and make your little jump ring here, just like so. All right, so that's how that works. And these work the same way. So the bead would slide onto this post here, and it would be stopped by this little eyelet here. And you could either attach more beads onto this and just keep stringing these until you had a whole bunch, or you could just attach this directly onto one of your earrings. And then you just crimp off this back end here. Here's a shot of a black onyx bead strung onto the eyelet here. So this portion would be able to attach right to the earring. So to tie this off, you just pinch it like this, kind of take it over a little bit. Then I just kind of rotate my round nose pliers, and I just roll this over the top. And just pull it back around. And then I would just clip off this piece here. So I'll lay this flat so you can kind of see what's going on. All right, let's talk chains. So here are my 2 favorite types of chains. These first 2 are Rollo chains, and you can buy these in foot lengths or 18-inch, 24-inch, and things like that with a clasp. If you're doing beading and things like that, these are nice to be able to string your beads onto either end using some of those pins, head pins and things like that to attach. So the other one that I have here is a mirrored box chain, and these are extremely strong and they're great for pendants and things like that. And you can also cut them up into little pieces and add beads in between and then string it together, and it's kind of a cool look. These also have, if you get the full-size chain, they'll either come with a lobster clasp, which is this. It's kind of this oval looking thing here, and you just pull here and it opens up. And these are probably one of the most secure clasps that are out there. So as far as like breakage and things like that, these are pretty low risk. They're going to stay on the chain. The other ones that I use quite a bit are the spring rings, which are right here, and you've probably seen those. And they come in a variety of different sizes and shapes and things like that. That one has a little something on it. Here's some smaller ones. There's some really big lobster clasps. So they all have different shapes and sizes. But these are great if you're making necklaces or anything like that. So keep that in mind. So these are jump rings, and jump rings are made from all different size gauges of wire. So you can see here that I have fairly large jump rings, and then very tiny jump rings right here, and kind of a medium size there. Now you can order these jump rings from Rio Grande, and you can get any size that you want and almost any gauge. I happen to make all of my own, so we like kind of just coil it up using our round nose pliers and make these little coils, and then we cut along one side, and then that gives us these tiny little jump rings like this. So these are great for attaching all kinds of things to either earrings or pendants or whatever you happen to be making. So that is that as far as the jump rings. To open and shut these, this is usually where people kind of get in a little bit of trouble. You'll want to bend these like so back and then bring them together. And this tension, when you open it up like that and then bring it back together, there's a tension that's created here at the bottom of the jump ring, and that actually forces the jump ring together at the top. It's kind of an interesting little physics thing, but that's how you do it. Try not to pull and pry on these because it'll just screw them up. So try that little twisting technique and it should work pretty well for you. Next up, let's take a look at some of the tools. The first one that I have here is a flush cutter, and this is basically it's a cutter. So anything that you have to trim. So it works great with gold and silver and brass and anything like that. So if you have bead stuff that you're working with, this would cut the cord. If you're working with metal and working with some of the earrings and like putting them on head pins, you can trim off the excess metal with these. Really handy. So you can find these at Rio Grande and also on Amazon. The next one we have is the round nose pliers, and they're called round nose pliers because these two ends here are cones. So it starts at a very small section here and goes to fat. And these are great for making loops for any of your bead projects or earring projects, and just making curves in general. So these are fantastic. Next one is chain nose pliers, and these are usually round on the top here and then flat inside without teeth. They do make them with teeth as well, but it's not great for jewelry making. With these, they usually come out as at a straight point. I've just over the past 20 years, I've ended up cutting mine off and making them blunt so that I don't scratch things that I'm working on, or really grabbing hold of it with just a small part of the metal and leaving a mark. The other one is the flat nose pliers here, and they're flat on this side and flat on this side and flat on the other side, so they're kind of like this. They're just sort of a very boxy looking pair of pliers. So if you're working with sheet and you need to make, let's say a bezel or something like that, and you need these like really sharp, clean 90-degree angles, this would be good for crimping the metal. And then you have another chain nose pliers, and these are bent chain nose, so they kind of go out at a curve. So this is great for getting into little spaces, especially with beading and stuff like that, if you have to crimp some of the little wires and things like that. So, and last, I would highly recommend getting a pair of tweezers. So I also kind of blunt the ends. So I have one pair that is very sharp and basically looks like I've never used it, and I have another that's just beat to heck. So I use these quite a bit, and I just find it's easier to pick things up if the end is somewhat blunt. So this is a personal preference, but try it out. Get two pair and beat one up. So that's the basic tools that you're going to need. for doing like, you know, wire wrapping or anything like that. So let's go to some of the other smaller components that we haven't talked about yet. The last thing I want to show you are these little crimps, and they're basically little tubes, and you feed your wire through for doing bead making. So if you were making like a beaded necklace or something like that, you'd feed your wire through here, and then once the wire was through the tube, then you take your pliers and you just go like this, and that crimps it. So it'll look kind of flat at that point, but that'll hold the wire. So these are really handy to finish off your necklaces and earrings for that matter. So hope that helps a little bit. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment in the bottom, and I'll be sure to answer your questions. I hope that helped. So these are the basic components that you would use to make earrings or pendants or do beading. And we're going to get into how to actually attach all these components together in the next video. So please subscribe, hit that bell so that you get the next video when it comes out. And until then, have a great day and keep making stuff. Bye.